Ferrari's great Monza race is the talk of the town right now, as the Prancing Horse even beat Max Verstappen in qualifying, suggesting that when it comes to pure speed only, the Ferrari is the fastest car on the grid right now. Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc gave their fans a showdown where they raced heavily for that P3 spot, but an important conclusion could be drawn out of it, one that might mean that Ferrari are about to make a big mistake. In 2022, when Ferrari momentarily emerged as a title contender, the team's conservative approach became evident, and there might have been hope that the car's speed alone would suffice for wins. However, during the initial half of that year, Ferrari's performance was a mix of exhilaration and disappointment. They frequently allowed Red Bull to seize strategic advantages. Some argue that, coming to Monza, Ferrari felt they had nothing at stake, and this likely boosted their audacity in pulling out all the stops for their home race. Given the SF23's notable speed in straight lines and its consistent performance in low downforce situations, they went all out. After all, if the past, like the Schessler incident, repeated itself, Ferrari was in a position to seize the opportunity, much like they did in 1988 after Senna's misfortune. Despite the inevitability of Verstappen seizing the lead, Ferrari didn't relent in their aim to stay ahead of Perez. They utilized an undercut strategy, aiming not only to regain track position but also to diminish Verstappen's lead. The presence of Bottas in traffic might have stymied Ferrari's efforts to significantly close the gap, but they certainly didn't shy away from the challenge. Does Vassir's stewardship of Ferrari signify a more advantageous approach compared to the period under Binotto? One can only hope so, especially if they aim to challenge for the title next season. What was the most interesting thing, however, was none other than Carlos Sainz. Throughout 2023, Carlos Sainz's future with Ferrari has been the target of speculation. Some suggest a possible shift to Sauber Audi post his Ferrari tenure, which wraps up by the end of 2024. However, this move could possibly place him in the midfield come 2025, unless there is an unexpected uptick in Sauber Audi's performance. Such a move would undersell his talents, and his Monza exploits affirmed that given the right machinery, Sainz can compete head-to-head with the best of the F1. In Monza, from pole, he showcased perhaps the most stellar defensive drive of his F1 tenure. Facing continual pressure from the likes of Verstappen and Perez, particularly at the Turn 1 chicane, he ensured they had to come up with inventive strategies to overtake, and it was only when Sainz had a momentary lapse, locking up on his worn-out tyres, that Verstappen managed to capitalize, taking the lead through Curva Grande. While Max Verstappen's historic 10th consecutive F1 victory may be groundbreaking, his outstanding performance has become somewhat expected. Carlos Sainz, however, stole the show during this particular race. His skirmishes with Perez perhaps teetered closer to the edge, but it epitomized hard, no-holds-barred racing without escalating into any fracas. Charles Leclerc's spirited attempt to clinch a podium spot meant that Sainz was engrossed in skirmishes throughout the 51-lap stint, yet he displayed unyielding tenacity. Securing third was a fitting result and marked the end of Sainz's podium drought for the season. But his triumphant weekend in Italy nearly met with a hiccup. Upon returning to his hotel, he became the target of a robbery attempt, with the thieves making away with his lavish £235,000 Richard Mille watch. However, showcasing grit off-track too, Sainz and his crew managed to pursue and retrieve the stolen item. I tried everything I could to keep the Red Bulls behind, especially that first stint in front of Max. It probably nearly cost me a podium because it meant that I was wearing my tyres a lot, Carlos Sainz stated after the race. Another interesting moment, however, and perhaps a moment which will make Ferrari think twice, is the absolute amazing battle between the two Ferraris towards the end of the race. On lap 47 of 51, the pair began to trade blows as Leclerc gained DRS to attempt an overtake into Turn 1, but the Monegasque locked up to allow Sainz to recover the position. This set the tone for the contest, with both drivers struggling to manage their Pirellis before Sainz eventually kept hold of third by a narrow 0.184 seconds to secure a Ferrari home podium. Despite losing out at the flag, Leclerc said he relished a battle that was reminiscent of his days in karting and added that he thought racing should be like this all of the time. He told Sky Sports, "I personally really enjoyed it. This is what racing should be all the time in my opinion. This reminds me of the karting days where we were all on the limit. We could follow each other. With the DRS, we could actually stay very close to each other. With Carlos, it was really on the limit. It was close many times, and there were so many moments where it was very tricky. We were both moving a bit too much under braking, but at the end, I didn't complain. This is what I love about racing, the adrenaline that you feel when you're fighting each other. This was really fun. It was on the limit from Carlos on the defending side. It was on the limit also on my side, on the attack side. It means so much to both of us to be on the podium here in Monza, so we gave it all. After such an event, we indeed have Ferrari, Sainz and Leclerc to thank for an amazing show. Their commitment to challenging Verstappen right from the outset was commendable. Moreover, the intense in-team rivalry for third place made for compelling viewing, and Sainz's strong defensive tactics against both Verstappen and Perez might have been on the edge of racing etiquette, but they were acceptable in the heat of the moment and obeyed the sporting regulations. This battle at the front provided one of the most exhilarating race moments of the season, even if it seemed an uphill battle for Sainz. With the Red Bulls having cemented their positions well ahead, Ferrari could have chosen a safer path, ensuring a secured podium finish at their home ground. However, whether it was a strategic decision by the team or an impulsive call by the drivers to vigorously compete while maintaining decorum, the resulting on-track action was riveting. The audacity they showed was a treat for the viewers, especially considering the potential catastrophic consequences had things gone bad like they have been in the past. This was echoed by Vizier, who joked that he did not want to watch any action replays so soon after the fact and said the drivers would be taken aside to discuss the moves. But he was proud that the team did not intervene. "It's a bit of a strange feeling, but I'm a big fan of let them race," said Vizier. "I told them the notion of no risk, it's always relative, but I really appreciated the last couple of laps. We'll have the discussion after the race, but tomorrow they are in the factory. I didn't freeze the position. I don't want to see the replay tonight." Sainz holding back Verstappen in a faster car was a good job, as he didn't panic and defended very smart. Once tyres were gone, he could not keep that up, and the Ferrari package shows it can have great performance. If only they can improve the performance across all kinds of tracks, then we would have a great fight in our hands. There were talks and speculations that Leclerc will be the driver whose contract will be extended and not Sainz, which in turn prompted even more speculations that the Spaniard could leave Ferrari. With what we saw yesterday, it's clear that Sainz is a great driver and that Ferrari need to focus on him as well, not only on Leclerc. Sainz leaving Ferrari would be a heavy blow for an already struggling team who strives to get back into championship contention, and it needs as good of a driver pair as they can possibly get. Carlos claimed a highly satisfying intra-team victory in style right when the future of both Ferrari drivers is up in the air. It wouldn't be a bad weekend for Sainz to head to the negotiating table after with his stock so high. It reveals why Audi are asking for Sainz now, because he's shown his qualities and it maybe still is not too late for Ferrari to keep him. He said he's focused 110% on the Prancing Horse, but a call from the German manufacturer would be hard to ignore. Nevertheless, Ferrari have two quality drivers and they should be working on keeping them both in the team. What do you think? Let us know if you think Sainz should be really ignored, and if you think this was a one-off race from the Spaniard, or if he really possesses the qualities to be a top driver. We'd like to hear your thoughts in the comments below, and thank you for watching.